So, what am I going to speak about? The network app store, how to focus on like new revenues. I suggested John included a slide. This was the original. It's basically like, yes, telcos have a lot of profit and their costs are currently still lower, but SMSs and calls aren't really growing anymore. You're not going to sell the same data plan for 3 times as much next year. And 4G deployments, 5G deployments, fiber to the home, IoT data tsunamis. Thank you, dear Apple, for adding 2 cameras now to every phone, just a double of data, and exactly what we needed. It's this type of thing. So costs are not under control. And that's what we actually want to focus on. So we've been looking at telcos, and what do we see as the 3 mistakes that could be easily resolved? First one, or could be resolved. The first one is, I know what my customers want. Well, Google or Facebook or others don't. They do quick tests. They look at like what works, and then they scale up what does. You might have a magical marketing department that always get it right. Well, the rest of us, we try and fail more often than we don't, but we just fail fast. That's how in software you do things. Then I have to see the first RFP that has bought cutting edge innovation that nobody else had anywhere in the world. And like, because the whole process of filling out 5,000 questions about something new that a 5-people startup can bring to you doesn't bring you innovation. It doesn't fit the model. If you want innovation, you need to work with the innovators in a language that they can help you, not send them 5,000 questions. And then idea to launch, 36 months. If we can solve those problems, we can solve the revenue problem. So first thing is, and John did a good demo already, so while we're talking, I'm just showing like a video about last year's demo. It's a solvable problem to deploy, integrate, scale out anywhere from cloud to servers, telecom solutions. We've done it in front of live audiences last year. It can be done. You can model solutions, you can like unintegrate things, you can integrate, you can scale them out. It is possible. So like you don't have to deliver slow. There's IT solutions that can come into the telco space to help there. Next slide. So how can we solve the problem what customers want? So let the customer decide, and let B2B partners help you bring whole ecosystems. Telcos have tried to launch, from what I remember, hosted emails 2 years later than Yahoo. Portals, also 2 years later than Alta Vista. KTK, and what was the other social network that I remember, but nobody else does? Well, I don't even remember the name. 20. App stores for phones, and all these things. It doesn't help if you just follow what is currently hot. The trick here is very simple. If you today start investing with today's technology to have a solution for today's problem, you take the time till tomorrow to get the solution. What happens? You basically end up at the point where you have a solution for yesterday's problem with yesterday's technology today. It's a lot better if you could like look forward and say, where's technology going? How can I solve tomorrow's problem for everybody? And then make a solution for tomorrow with crazy technology from today, but that becomes tomorrow's technology, so that when tomorrow comes, you have a solution for today with today's technology. So what can be done? Well, the thing that we launched the production version for last week is app stores on any type of device. This is not mobile phones. This is everything that can have a processor. And if you come to our booth, you can see that the current things with processors are this big nowadays and cost under $10. In the next 2 years, my prediction is it will be $1 and it will be this big. So you have the capabilities that a Google server, which costed $50,000 in the end of the 90s, that capability you can now shortly put on any type of device for $1. So you basically can put app stores everywhere and can launch completely new personalized solutions. If you think about your mobile phone, everybody has the same phone more or less, but 5 apps later, it's your phone. You don't want to change it with your neighbor. That same stickiness, that same every customer makes their own decision on what their service looks like, you are now able to put everywhere. That's what we have open sourced. And there's B2B partners, and one of them is here that will talk about it, that can do things. What else are we doing? Anybody not heard about Facebook Open Compute? Or who heard about Facebook Open Compute? Okay, so basically what's Facebook saying? Things are too expensive in my data center. Why don't I make a design, open source it, and then tell the world how I would like to see my servers? Latest news is they're also doing that for telecom equipment called TIP, Telecom Infra Project. So open sourcing hardware that used to be expensive, you can now go and download from GitHub. What are we doing with Facebook? Well, Facebook just accepted that Ubuntu Core can run on their switches. And you can now go and deploy things like Quagga, Facebook's operating system, Onos, and SnapRoute, and I'll do a demo later on about this. And this is still like linked together with the cloudified network functions, because what we're doing today is we deploy this type of workloads on all the open compute servers in the rack, and then the top of the rack switch is with snaps, so that you have the best of both worlds. You can scale out over all the servers you have, but that one brittle thing at the top of the rack that has the physical connections to all the servers and the outside world, that thing is with snaps. What we showed this year at Mobile World Congress was the first DSLAM app store on the first open source DSLAM. It was a demo. We're now trying to see if we can get it to production. Great. But this was already a reality on this year's Mobile World Congress. What we also showed was software-defined hardware. And this little box was on there. And you might see a very resemblance here for their next demo over there. And basically, this is changing the world. If you think about software-defined hardware, app stores on devices, what can you do? What is this? Well, this hardware, if it would be hanging from the ceiling, and it would then support Ubuntu, hopefully, you basically put an app on there and redefine what sticks out on this side, because it's a software-defined radio from Lime Microsystems. So with an app, you say, you're now Wi-Fi. And then it keeps on being a normal projector. Instead of having a Wi-Fi point and a projector, you now have one box. But perhaps you're in the basement. You don't have good 4G coverage. Why not put a 4G app on there and make it a base station and all of a sudden have coverage? But why not put it also into your living room, put a Bluetooth app on it, and put a 2.4 gigahertz app on it, and some like video streaming, and all of a sudden it can be paired with my smartwatch, and if I move it, the accelerator can send here data, and the drone could be controlled. It could project what the drone sees onto the projector of my living room, and I could be chasing my kids by just moving my arm around. It's the same hardware. That's the basic message. Software can redefine the purpose of what you use the hardware for. Think about your mobile phone. An Uber, Netflix have nothing to do with calling. That same capability is now available as open source for any type of device. This is the Lime SDR. It's a first version specifically aimed at software-defined radio experts. It's still like the high-end type of thing from a price perspective because it's still $200 to $300 a device. But these are the numbers of this morning, and this goes up almost every day. EE is sponsoring this because the story is a lot bigger. And here to tell the bigger story is Jimmy from Lime Microsystems.
I'll just hold it. Hi. Thanks, Martin. Lime SDR, essentially, what we're doing is actually democratizing the wireless network of the future. That means by having it an open source platform that anybody and everybody can program it and access to it. Yeah, I think this morning there's a lot of talks about new services and engaging the developers, and this is exactly what we're doing in the wireless world. Okay, we are a microchip company, but what we're doing, we're open source the platform and giving out to developers, the makers, the hackers, and let them do something what they do, what they're good at, what they're best at doing. And now partnering with Ubuntu, Canonical, we saw that having technology is one thing, but we need to build up developers, build up the ecosystem of development. So, sorry, go back to the slide. So we had the crowd supply campaign started in May, but it's not so much of the funding, but more so on the pledges. We have over 3,000 developers that pledge just for the board to do something with it. It's very basic, but they have to do. But they're giving us a lot of ideas in terms of what sort of apps they can customize for their needs. It's just like you have your mobile apps. You want, what you need it for, what you require it for. So over 3,000, and we have given it to about 100 boards to about 100 top developers of this group, and they're coming back with a lot of feedbacks for us to engage, for us to think about the next phase of development. So, and one of the things that we're doing with the Ubuntu is that we set up an app store, so that whatever apps they produces, it goes to this app store, and that app store can be downloaded from anywhere by anybody, and everybody can develop the app as well to turn into a device into whatever wireless devices or technology they want to do. So for example, I'll show you a demo in a minute. That is a base station here you're looking at there. It's a fully fledged base station. Look at the size of it. In the past, it would have been probably the size of this room, maybe less. But now, that is a base station. We would do a dangerous demo there. Sorry, James, took your line here. But there you go. But the App Store is definitely the way forward. Not just having an open source ideology, but the vision is that the App Store so everybody can contribute and engage. So that's what we're doing. And thanks to Canonical Ubuntu for letting this happen.
So we're now going to do a dangerous demo.
So basically, this is a mini PC. We added our radio card to it, the Lime SDR card. So developers have developed an LTE, I don't know about 4G technology, it's called LTE, downloaded into the motherboard, and I'm making a LTE video call on here, which I'll show you now.
Or, yeah, I can. Ooh, this restarted.
Just did.
Thank you for upgrading, Samsung.
You carry on first.
Yeah.
Let me
Okay.
explain the
Yeah.
code.
See, this is not TAT Summit without some dangerous demo that will work in a second, but without a big announcement. And this announcement is a world first. We're going to work on our next crowdfunding campaign. And this is going to be, and it will be launched 1 week before Mobile World Congress. Because what we want to launch is the first production-ready, open-source, app-enabled mobile base station that can be maintained by people that have basic IT skills, that can have an app store and launch new type of services on it, and cost a fraction of what the low-end base stations cost today. You'll be able to unplug things like the antennas. You have power supply, transceiver, and compute that can all be substituted. The whole idea is this goes into remote regions where the local community can take care of it. You can reboot it through an app via your local administrator. You can have an augmented reality app to explain how to substitute or upgrade something in it. So that if those remote areas, of which, like, we're not talking about Africa, this is something that we're doing with British Telecom in like remote islands in Scotland that are 300 miles and a sea away from the closest technician and might perhaps only have 20,000 people living on there. The only thing is, the CEO of EE publicly said by 2020 we want 95% of the UK population to have access to 4G. Well, unless we substantially reduce the cost and create new revenue opportunities, in the current model, that's not going to happen. That's why this is so important. And they're even looking into flying mobile base stations, and if you think that's ridiculous, look it up on YouTube, and we already have done exactly that. And the whole idea is either balloons or drones could cover areas for emergencies. You have lots of like ambulances that need to go somewhere, and there's legal requirements to have coverage in even the most remote areas. It's this type of things. And it sounded so weird until Facebook started to do like all type of projects with flying objects being base stations. So this is the type of things where we are working on changing things.
And also we're taking it further regarding Facebook. They're promoting this open source, open vision, which is great. What we're doing with Canonical Ubuntu is that we're creating an app store for your wireless app. Anything that any wireless technology can be an app. Just download into using a commodity hardware, a computer-based x86 system. You can download any app written in Linux or C, whatever you run on Ubuntu, and there you go. Off you go. So that everybody have access to the wireless technology. Whereas in the past, it's always been very restricted. You can't access to it. You don't have the means or the know-how to do it. But now we're just using the commodity hardware and the App Store vision.
And since you're all disruptors here, what we need is help. This is an open community, and the more interesting snaps we can demo, the faster this is going to go. So this is an open invitation. Anybody that brings us an amazing demo will get a free ticket for Mobile World Congress and can come on our booth to demo it there.
This is recorded.
This is recorded. That's why I'm saying it. So this is not a unique concept for DSLAM's or mobile base stations. If you think a little bit deeper, you have an app ecosystem and you have open source hardware. If you're able to create a control function in the middle, you can bring two worlds together that you used to have in one box and was very proprietary, very locked down, and you couldn't really do anything with it. So how do we unlock this? Well, think about app abstraction layers. You and I probably don't know how to program a robot. It's very hard. It has 6 wheels, or tracks, or 2 wheels, or blades, or whatever. But if there's an API that says left, right, forward, backwards, optionally up and down, probably with some drag and drop tool, which I can show you in a minute, we would be able to make it work. And not only us, but probably our children as well. That's exactly the thing that needs to happen for all these complex ecosystems. Somebody needs to take an ecosystem like a mobile base station and simplify it so that regular people can program new things, because they have the real problems. And if you do that, what you get is this control function. Pay me for my app ecosystem. You can just open source base stations and put on GitHub how China can mass produce them and how the prices can really go down, because you will still get royalties from any hardware clone. Because without that app ecosystem, that box is rather useless. And you can get app revenue, as well as the operator in this case can get app revenue from every app that is sold. So open sourcing hardware is a great idea and a great business. So think about, for instance, open sourcing broadband modems and putting app stores on there. You put an app store for virtual CPE, you put an app store that talks to the DSLAM, and now you can have like more things. But why not put IoT apps? And everybody is always thinking about like, what standard do I need for IoT? Well, with apps and snaps, that's no problem at all. New standard, new snap. New integration, new snap. Take it even a step further. This is the cutting edge that's currently available. You have this open source design from Facebook around their open compute machine learning servers. If you want to know how Facebook runs machine learning, it's all on GitHub. Now, what can be done? Well, with software like MAS, we can put an operating system on there. With Choo-Choo, we could put Kubernetes on there. Canonical Kubernetes was shown earlier by John. We're working on TensorFlow. TensorFlow is for deep machine learning. And by putting that on there, we'd be able to, or anybody would be able to learn certain models. Things like translations are all possible because we have deep learning. You could make models to find holes in the road. You could make things that like look for danger. Don't want to give away the dangerous demo for tomorrow, but if you like this, you want to see the dangerous demo. So let's stop with some slides and go into action. This is my app store, and where is it running? On this box. It basically is a 4 Ethernet box with Wi-Fi and an Intel processor. Nothing special, but I can go to the App Store. I can like pick out some app, for instance, Berkeley Snap. I can click one button, it now installs, it downloads a snap on the device. All the snaps are digitally signed, so you can know which version, you can know if it has been tampered with, and it's now installed, and if everything goes well, yes! Basically, what is this? If anybody knows Scratch, this is the way children learn how to program. So I can basically go and create different things and like go and it's a little bit outside my okay. I'm not as good at Scratch as my son, but like this is supposed to move and so on. Okay, what else can I do? Now I hope I find my terminal window. I prepared some demos. It was a little bit hard to like do this manually. So what it basically starts doing, it starts installing multiple snaps. Mosquito is a snap. Anybody familiar with MQTT? It's a protocol very much used in IoT. ONOS, software-defined networking. Let's show that one. OpenHAB. Let's show how you can control your home and small, medium enterprises. Node-RED, the most impressive IBM software I've seen in my life. RFID, you'll see what I'm going to do with that. MQTT LED, you also see. And Alexa Web, I just basically going to, while this installs, show you what it does. It's actually made by somebody that I think is here. You buy this very expensive Amazon Echo. Well, you can also deploy a snap and go like, what's the weather going to be in Lisbon tomorrow?
Tomorrow in Lisbon, Portugal, you'll see lots of sun and can expect a high of 69 and a low of 51.
Tell me a joke.
What do you call two men on a wall above a window? Kurt and Rod.
Okay, they're not as great as they could be, but so basically the whole thing here is if I can get Alexa onto my broadband modem, hey, I could speak to a local Bluetooth enabled speaker and microphone and could have Alexa on my current broadband modem. If I put Chameleon or any other SIP thing, which hopefully Daniel shows up later and shows us, on my broadband modem, I could do lots of amazing things. So it's all these type of golden nuggets that together change things. So what you also saw that this thing did was run a lot of automatic creations of certificates and so on. Amazon's cloud for IoT is kind of hard to set up. We got it down to like 2 commands that automatically generate all the things which you probably need hours to figure out and do it yourself manually. So let's see what happens now. Okay, we got Node-RED. Node-RED is, as I said, an open source product from IBM, and it's kind of amazing because you basically just drag and drop things. Connect, deploy, and do things. Okay, so I'm just sending here timestamps. So let's see what I can do. I prepared some things here in advance that I don't have to do too much. This is Mac. I have to remember it. Copy and paste is another key combination. Found it. Okay, so what happens if I do this? Let's find out. Ooh, something came there. Might have been a little bit too fast. Hi, Ted Summit. Okay, I just integrated an actuator, which is something that like does something if you send it to it. I just send it a hi, Ted Summit, and there you could see it. Now think about it. If that would be a big screen, and I would have created a tweet feed, and I would have randomized that I would take one tweet every 10 seconds and put that into my storefront and have a camera that live broadcasts this onto YouTube, I could create a storm of people sending tweets because initially every tweet would be mentioned because there would not be more than 10 seconds or more tweets than every 10 seconds, but little by little more tweets would come and it would become harder and harder and harder and harder to get your tweet on this, and it could become a phenomenon. Actually, if you think about it, that small store that just got a couple of apps, a screen and a camera just became a crazy thing on the internet. And everybody now knows it. That's the type of thing that you could be doing with this type of simple example. Now, let's take it a little bit further. What else can I do? I'm opening doors and I get some strange number. Cool, I get like a sensor. Hi Maarten, welcome home. It got more amazing. And let's do one more. It does the same. Isn't that strange? It does the same, but it went to the cloud and back again to this. Hey, I just integrated sensors with an edge logic into the cloud, back again to the edge, back again to an actuator. I think that is called IoT. Or I could go and do all these type of crazy things with crazy network equipment where, like, I actually am not the right person to go and show it to you, but like OP, NFV, OP or OVSDB, OpenStack interfaces, SNMP, everything is here. It's just a snap away. Forgot what this was actually. And oh, OpenHAP. I have copied wrong the URL, I guess. No, okay. That one didn't go as well as I thought. But you have it running here. It's welcome to OpenHAP. It's for home automation. So what is possible? Well, we're working, for instance, with IBM on a project called Blue Horizon. It's the future of big data brought to the edges. You take a Raspberry Pi, if you haven't seen one, with several type of like these mini supercomputers at the boot. You now put apps on here, you connect a software-defined radio and you distribute them in the world. And if you're familiar with Bitcoin, it's this like cryptocurrency. And the reason you can't double spend Bitcoin is because there's something called blockchain, which is a distributed ledger. And some very smart people put smart contracts on top of that blockchain, and that's called Ethereum. Now, if you bring all these things together, what is possible? Well, there's now an open community that can download, put on these inexpensive devices some apps, and sell the data that they have access to. So you have apps to see planes flying around, because software-defined radio can pick up that information. But you can also go and say, like, I want to compare the Wi-Fi or the LTE coverage in this area versus that area. If you're going to move houses, why not like look and see which area has the best LTE coverage? Well, this type of things is done with smart contracts. So the only thing you install in your home is this installation, and automatically people can pay for the data that you have locally available, and it can all be distributed. It's an example of how money can be made with new things. But IoT and blockchain go even further. This is a new partner of ours with whom we're working on something really amazing, specifically also for Mobile World Congress. Because blockchain at this moment can only do some transactions per second globally. It's not really scalable. It's not where we want it to have. But what if there could be a real-time, on-demand payment solution that has no fees? Bandwidth on demand, this is where they're currently working on demos in which you pay per byte with no subscription needed. Anybody can set up a Lime SDR and make money and solve problems on the edges. This is a GitHub project. They just today released snaps for it. So this is the speed of innovation.